Hi, everyone. How are you? This is Bethany Gagne, founder of Numinous, the organization that sponsors the Resident Peaceful Cities Project. This is the seventh in a series of videos that I'm doing to teach people about their own consciousness, right? Understand that you are consciousness, and this body is just a temporal vehicle to bring your consciousness around in. Right? So, this idea that when we are not operating from the fact that you are an infinite being, you are consciousness itself, and then you're walking around trying to solve problems, you're trying to meet demands, you're trying to be superhuman all the time, but you're not really accessing your consciousness. Well, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, okay? And it's been my journey in this life to see how much I can calibrate with my own consciousness so that I can wear this world lightly as I'm enduring all of the earthly struggles of being here on earth, right? So, but to me, my understanding at this point, after decades of study, is that's the game here, and I'm wanting to play it well. And so I am going to share with you one tool today that is, that I feel as though is the most important tool you need in your spirituality toolbox. Everything I do relates to this one tool. There's not a day I get up that I don't use this tool, and there's pretty much not an hour that I'm awake that I don't use this tool. Um, it's a tool that since my children were growing up, I asked them the same question I'm going to ask you in a minute. And or I was sitting with a friend who was grieving recently, asked him the same question, right? So this one question is the key to you unlocking your spirit, for you to evolving into the goodies of spirituality, because there are goodies, right? If we know the curriculum, you get to the goodies. And I don't know about you, but I always like goodies. So even as I'm going through Earth School and I'm going through paces, there's always this part of me that knows that on the other side of this is the goodie, right? On the other side of struggle is freedom. Okay. And so I'm going to show you why that is right now. And you don't have to take my word for any of this. You can just play with this yourself and really sit with it and start to go, oh my gosh, this is like the key to literally all spirituality. All right. Here we go. So, what I want you to do is to take a moment and this is really good for the holidays. So many people are facing the holidays. More people are sick than usual. Actually, more deaths are up, things like that. There's a lot of people facing the holidays, feeling a pang of missing someone or feeling a loss, a deep loss or a grieving. This is something I'm going to encourage you to do, and I'll share with you at the end about a story of how this enabled someone to manage her son's suicide and how much it made a difference. So, okay, so here we go. What we want you to do is your consciousness. So we're going to become aware of our consciousness right now, not just the physical body, but just take a moment and become aware of your body in space. So become aware of the space around your body and become aware of the space above your head, below your feet, to the left of you, to the right of you, okay? Especially become aware behind you, okay? Become aware of the space or behind your body. All right, so this is your body in space. And space is the consciousness of you, by the way. It's not something separate than you. And so now just allow yourself to feel, maybe the surface is underneath you, surrendering to the surfaces underneath you. All right, now bring to mind anything that's making you raw, anything that is your biggest struggle right now. Quickly scan your body. Question is, where do you clutch, grip, or grasp? Where do you clutch, grip, or grasp? Stop right there. Hold that space, hold that clutching, gripping, and grasping, and let's explore that. Where you're clutching, gripping, and grasping is where you are throttling your spirit every time you think that thought. So every time you think that thought, you are financing that thought with the energy in that area of your body. So that's where that thought is getting, it's kind of like feed is off of the energy running through your meridians in those areas. Okay, now, some of you may notice, and you can let it go if you want, some of you may notice that where you clutch, gripped, or grasp was also part of a health challenge. Happens all the time in this work. Very often, women will say, I find myself clutching at my throat. And almost always, except for one woman, but for everybody else, I would say to them, oh, wow, okay, you're clutching your throat? Are you on thyroid medication? Yeah, I am. Interesting, right? Because what are we doing here? We're having a thought that we're bracing against, we're resisting, we're going, hell no, I won't go. And then we're putting that part of our body in lockdown. And that there, folks, is your suffering. That's your suffering, okay? So what we'll do in the meditation today is we are going to practice being able to think that thought and not clutch, grip, or grasp. To hold your palm open, right? So that the energy can flow through there. Because every time you think that thought, that area is financing that thought. And then you're resisting it, which causes resistance, which causes suffering. And then, so the idea is in the end, you could still have the loss. Say you lost someone, and every time you think of that loss and you feel that pang of a loss, when this gets cleared, when the emotional charge of that gets cleared, that energy will run clean, but you'll still have the memory trace in your field of that person that you loved. So you'll have the love without the grieving. All right? Now, we can try this one more time on something else. Think about something else that makes you clutch, or that makes you raw, that you're stressed out about. Could be the holidays, could be something. Scan your body. Where do you clutch, grip, or grasp? Check it out. Now notice, every time you think that thought, that area of your body clutches, right? So that area of your body goes into lockdown. So just FYI, everything you stress over will block the energy running in your body. Okay, so understand, do you see how this can tie to everything? Everything. Whether I was working with a healer in Brazil, whether I was at a Dr. Joe Dispenza conference with massive meditators, in a Lemmick Taggart intentional thing, in ceremony in Peru, or just sitting with anyone, like this is this one skill. Whether you're in a Vipassana, I mean that's basically Vipassana, although I kind of added dimensionality to it. But understand that is the truth of, this is the truth of who we are. This is our suffering. And so this is when we're surrendering attachments. That's what this is. So Buddha was always famous for, all suffering comes from attachment, right? And so it gets like a bad rap, right? Because our egos are like, what do you mean? Why be here if we're not attached to outcomes? And I've certainly challenged it myself. Yeah, I'll say, tell me a CEO that is working in such a way with no attachment for payroll for all their employees on Friday, right? Like, what is that? That live this world without attachment. Like, it's completely BS, and I've totally challenged it. But at the cellular level, that's what that means, right? So how do you be a CEO having to make payroll for everybody on Friday and not have it get stuck in your own body, right? That's what it means, is lack of attachment. This is very advanced spiritual study. Again, I've been doing this for decades, getting better at it, still not perfect at it, but I can tell you, after staying with this one skill, that it's the key to all amazing feelings, all beauty, all great, all the great stuff, all the goodies. All right. So if you think, I want to bring out another aspect to this. Years ago, I was doing professional development for some teachers. And at the beginning, it was when mindfulness was just coming out. So I was doing a lot of really teaching people about mindfulness and teachers. And it was the end of the school year. And this one lady, I always bring people up for demonstrations or whatever. And so this one lady came up, and she was quite vulnerable and shared, and just kind of, fell her heart out to the group and said, my son committed suicide a couple weeks ago. And I'm just trying to make it through these last few days of the school year, so I can get to the summer. And I asked her, I said, and I talked to her about when you feel the grieving of the loss of your son, where is it? And she said where it was in the body. So I said to her, understand that your grieving is not global. Your whole energy field isn't full of grieving. Just this one area that's being contracted, right? That's your suffering. So understand that if this is your suffering, all this is good, right? So you can identify with the big wrench of the grieving of a loss of a son. Totally understandable. But the idea that there's all this space around it that she can kind of nourish and honor this loss here, right? So, I was fortunate enough 2 years later to be teaching again somewhere, and she happened to be in the audience, and she ended up offering her support to this work, saying that she didn't know how she would have made it through that summer without knowing this one tool, right? So understand that it doesn't matter whether you're dealing with a difficult person, whether you're dealing with debt, whether you're dealing with grieving and loss, like it's all the same stuff. That, you know, I always say, like, anxiety isn't really a feeling so much as a location. It's always a place in the body that's gripping. So I'm going to say, I keep kind of doing this in a circular way because I want you to get the breadth of what we're talking about. So if anxiety isn't just this globalized anxiety, like, oh, I don't really know. And I ask people the one question. I've asked my children this since they were teeny tiny. I'll literally say, where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? It doesn't matter. I'll ask anybody that. I'll ask a complete stranger that I've only known for 20 minutes. Because the whole quality of your spirit has to do with where it's getting snagged, right? So I'll close with the one thing is the idea that when you do release that, right? So when that woman could release the clutching, gripping, and grasping, the horrible loss of her son, and when you're able to kind of like have the courage to kind of like pry your fingers open and like let it go, right? And that can feel so vulnerable and so tender. But understand that heaven is vulnerable and tender, right? Heaven, beauty, gorgeousness, exquisiteness, all the beautiful feelings, they certainly don't feel like you're carrying a pile of bricks over your shoulder, right? Like, that's not good feelings. Good feelings are lightness, spaciousness, airiness, and no one taught us to savor such spaces. Understand that those sweet spaces literally lead us to heaven. And that's a story for another day. I don't want this video to get too long. But if just, spoiler alert, you follow that little sweetness, you'll literally follow it over to the other side. You'll literally follow it to heaven. Now, we'll talk more about this. And hopefully now this is the 7th video. You can see I'm kind of stacking things. I'm trying to give you a skill at a time. But this one skill, I want you to use it if somebody says something not nice at the holiday table, or you're missing the pang of someone, right? And I think what I'll do also, because of that context, is we're going to add some light to it. Remember we did God bathing last time with the light? So I'll add light to it to help nourish it, to open it up. And then practice being able to keep things open and know that you do not have to spend the rest of your life suffering because of a loss. Because it's not the truth of who we are. Okay. I feel like there's one other thing I want to say there. Because you're gonna be evolving into the bigger, grander you. I guess I'll leave it at that. All right. Please stay tuned. Please share these videos with as many people as possible. It seems as though what I've come to understand is for you to even be listening to this video, you've done an incredible amount of work on yourself. And that seems to be where my gifts are, is to talk to the people that have done a lot of deep work and to have them start working with their own spiritual technology. And quite honestly, it takes a lot of humility and humbleness to be able to be working at these levels. And you'll see that advanced spirituality has everything to do with that. So I'm grateful that you're sharing that. I know some people have been writing in, and just know I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for there are people willing to walk with me in these places, and they're really, and you're getting the benefits that I know have nourished me during my darkest days. So so we can start getting to the fun of all this, okay? All right. Well, because after all your hard work, this is where the goodies come in, but you just got to know how to stoke them, how to find them, right? All right. I will, we'll keep talking about that, and I hope you're all well. All right. Thank you so much. Have great holidays. Take care. Bye-bye. Please share. Thanks. Bye.